Colts have not won a game in Jacksonville since 2014. Everyone in the world's like, oh, it's not possible this season. I mean, Carson Wentz is playing out of his mind. Best football he's probably ever played. Jonathan Taylor, MVP candidate. We have five Pro Bowlers, 5 to 7 Pro Bowlers on that Colts team. And then we have Frank Reich, Coach of the Year candidate. And then all of a sudden, nope, 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 nope. Same old Colts. You suck. You made the playoffs with Phillip Rivers. Then you get Carson Wentz, arguably an upgrade. Phillip Rivers could not move. Like, he couldn't move. And you made the playoffs with him. And now you miss it with Carson Wentz. What's going on with the Colts right now? I mean, just awful.
I think most people in America were rooting for this storyline because it's hilarious. The Jaguars, as we've talked about all season, complete dumpster fire. I mean, the Urban Meyer situation, Trevor Lawrence has looked pretty bad, but Trevor Lawrence looked like an absolute tank all game. And their defense was shutting down the Colts. Jonathan Taylor, talk about ending your MVP hopes. I mean, not that he played awful, but for Jonathan Taylor terms, like not a very good game. Carson Wentz looked egregious. He looked atrocious. And you mustered up 11 points against probably the worst team in the NFL. And really, if it wasn't for that last minute touchdown at the very end of the game, you'd have 3 points and you'd leave with your tail tucked behind your legs. All you needed to do was beat the worst team in the NFL, and you fumbled. You look like a clown now. And now, thanks to you, we got the Raiders in the playoffs, we got the Steelers, and we get to see the storyline of an old, great, iconic quarterback, one more playoff run.
Yeah. And also, another thing about the Jaguars, this is a team playing for the first overall pick. They weren't trying to win this game. I mean, organizationally, they probably want the number one overall pick, so you can either trade out of it or pick up an incredible defensive or offensive lineman out of this draft. But just embarrassing by Carson Wentz. I mean, a fumble, 2 picks, and then I'm not going to count that last touchdown because that's garbage time. If you don't get more than 3 points when it matters, I mean, just completely egregious by the Colts. All-time choke job, but I love to see it. It was hilarious just because Carson Wentz, I mean, what more can be said about him coming from Philadelphia? I mean, he played terrible, forcing the ball, and then just that fumble, like, just go to the ground. He gets hit way too much, stands in the pocket for way too long. It's a common criticism with him, but he just has to get rid of the ball or take the sack or slide.
The Colts remind me, this iteration of the Colts reminds me of the 2000s Chargers, because you look around, you got someone like a Jonathan Taylor, not quite an LT, but similar. You got good receivers for the most part. You have a great defense, an amazing O-line, but somehow you don't get it done. And Carson Wentz, sometimes he looked good. Other times he just looked egregious. He has a lot of really dumb turnovers. And now the question is, does Indy stay with Carson Wentz? I mean, I don't think Indy fans want him after that game. You literally needed to beat the Jaguars. You couldn't beat the Jaguars when it mattered most. And honestly, I mean, who they would have matched up with? The Bills, most likely.
Mm.
Would have been a good matchup for him. Then, anything can happen in the playoffs. So you're talking about a potential conference championship, Super Bowl potential run that you missed out on because you couldn't beat the worst team, literally the number one overall pick.
Yeah.
Could not beat the number one overall pick. I'm sorry. You can't keep Carson Wentz. You got to go for somebody else. You got to be aggressive.